Is this the camera I look at right here? Yeah. Okay. And you made a clip here. Is this good right here? Good. Yeah. Whew. Hey, can somebody bring me a bottle of water before we get started, please? Thanks. Hey, is there gonna be food after we get done here? I'm really craving a steak. That'd be good. Freaking hungry. How long is this gonna last, by the way?
Climboard Sportscast. I'm here with Dakota Ballard. Obviously, we're at National MMA, the gym. Obviously, the gym that you fight for. Obviously, you train here, the best gym, top gym course in Middle Tennessee. And so, how's it feel?
Dude, feels amazing. Thank you for having me on, dude. It's always, every time I can get on and chop on anything and chop it up and talk to anybody, people that know me know I love to talk, man. So I tell people the jaw is a muscle. You have to train that as well, just like you train the whole body. So, yeah, man, appreciate you having me here. And yeah, this is the best gym in Middle Tennessee, arguably in Tennessee, period. So, yeah, man, it's a blessing to be here and train with the guys I get to train with.
And I like to thank JT and, of course, A. Donaldson for introducing us together. I saw you social media. I saw you fighting a lot in different promotions as well and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I got to talk to this guy right here, the heavyweight. Let's go.
Yeah, man, it's been a journey, dude. You know, I've been on a few other podcasts and I've talked to people and I tell people, I'm like, man, they're like, well, did you expect to be here? Did you expect for these things to happen? Like, what were your, if you could go back and like, would you say that this is where you'd be? And I'd say, yeah, I mean, the person that I am with the work ethic that I have and how I train and I'm a very goal-oriented individual. So when I put my mind to something and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it to the full extent. So, if you were to go back to me in a year, which I started training about a year, 3 or 4 months ago, and you're going to go and say, hey, Dakota, this is what you're going to do. This is where you're going to be in a year. I'd say, well, that would make sense, because there's people that train to win and there's people that train to dominate, and I train to dominate, man. So it's not even, there's no doubt in my mind that I'd be where I'm at today, and this is no coincidence to me.
Absolutely. So this is your, obviously your documentary here. So why'd you do it? The 5-second knockout.
How or why did I do it? Yeah. Well, that's I'll tell you. Well, actually, it's funny. That's good. That's actually a good question that you say why. So I'll tell you why. This is funny. Before the week before my fight, there was an LFA card in Louisville, and I guess I should have remembered his name, but it was the co-main.
Jake Woodley.
Jake, there you go. Yeah. Boom. Okay, good. I'm glad that you got that. So yeah, Jake Woodley, he came out with an overhand, boom, knocked the dude out. I think his was 4 seconds, so he's got me beat by a second. But yeah, I saw that, and I was sitting by a guy named Eddie Gonzalez. He's my coach, my head coach, and I looked at him. I said, hey man, I think that's what we should do next week. He's like, okay. So the whole week we trained it, and just every day, pad session. Working on it, the angle we were going to take, how we were going to throw it, this and that, and put it together the week of, and so that was the game plan, and then we went out on Saturday and executed. So it worked out the way it was supposed to. Of course, I did throw it a little bit differently in the fight, because when you're in a fight, man, there is variables. The person's not going to react exactly the way that you thought he was going to react. Now, the good thing is he did exactly what we wanted him to do, was keep his hands down and his head up and his chin exposed, and then and I cracked him. So, dropped him, a little bit of ground and pound, and he was out of there.
Well, maybe they go back to the records and probably see that the knockout was a little bit sooner instead of just the ground and pound. So it depends when they stop it, but it may be,
It's hard to say, man. And like I told you, and I'll say it, on camera too. Like I said, I think it was I think it was more of a 3 to 4 second knockout, but I said everybody was shocked, and they were. I think even the ref was shocked. I think he was like, oh shit, I gotta go over there and stop this thing, So I think he wasn't really expecting that either. So, but all in all, it's always a good thing, when you can go in the cage and not take any damage, and then come back in the next week and keep training and getting better.
The celebration can be a little bit better with no face.
Oh, of course, yeah. When you're leaving there and you're not hurting or anything, and you feel great, that's always a good thing, So, and during camp, and of course fighters can relate, we put our bodies through the ringer during camp, and the reason we do that is because we want, the fight to be the easiest part, and you say, well, how's it the easiest part? You're getting punched in the face, and it hurts, and it does, but it's if I can come in the gym and I can physically exhaust myself to a point of where maybe like I want to quit and I push through that. Well, I mean, I get to the fight, you know what I mean? I'm prepared for it. I've already been there, so it's like, from a mental standpoint, it's a thing of, yeah, I mean, this is not anything that I haven't overcome before. So yeah, man, but back to, not taking any damage. You get in there, you take care of business, you get out, get back to the gym, get back to work, and back to improving your skills and skill building and getting better.
Well, obviously, I watched that video, and of course, you had the Rooster in the background. But where'd you get your awesome nickname, the Rooster?
Yeah, that's the question that everybody asks. So, a guy named Blake Mitchell, Cowboy.
There he is.
Yeah. So, man, he's an interesting guy, and what I mean by that is like he likes to give people nicknames. So he came in one day, we're talking, and he's like, man, you just remind me of a rooster. And so what he means by that is the way that I carry myself. I'm a very confident individual. I carry myself, I guess, head high, chest out, not maybe cocky in some ways for sure. When you're fighting, you got to have somewhat of an ego, man. You got to have a little bit of an ego to step in a cage and to be able to, to be crazy enough to do that. So there's somewhat of an ego, and it's kind of how I carry myself, just in every day. He's like, you just remind me of a rooster. So, and what's funny about that is I denied that nickname for so long. I was like, they're just calling me that because obviously they're making fun of me, whatever, which is cool. They're just poking and prodding at me. And my buddy Chad, he was the one that we have conversations, and he's like, brother, I'm telling you right now, that's a sick nickname, dude. He's like, I wish I had that nickname. And I was like, I just don't know, man. And then my first fight came about, or my second fight came, and I was like, let's run it. Let's just see how it does, and so we ran with it and just kind of stuck, dude, and after that interview, I was like, hey, cockadoodle doing this motherfucker, and everybody loved it, dude, so we kept it, and so it seems like the name's going to be here to stay.
And you mentioned the interview, like obviously your last one was it was with JT, and the in-ring interview, kind of bring that. I definitely talked about it before. I want to bring it up in this right here because how did that come about?
Yeah, man. So JT is a good buddy of mine, and we have good banter back and forth. I mean, it's like it's kind of like when you have that friends, you build that chemistry where y'all can just have conversations, right? And so we kind of talked about it a little bit beforehand, kind of how we were gonna, what was gonna be said and what was gonna be asked, and but yeah, it's a lot of it just comes off the top of the dome. And whatever comes to my heart, I kind of say it. And yeah, I mean, I think some fighters get on the mic, hell, like Josh Hokett, you look at his post speech or his post fight speeches, that's rehearsed, brother. You know what I mean? He's not just coming up with that off the top of that, which would be crazy if he did, but I highly doubt it. But yeah, so we talked about it a little bit backstage, and then, just kind of being a natural on the mic and a natural speaker, you just kind of, in the moment, you just, whatever, comes to your head, you just say, and you just flow off that. So
I dig that, because you don't get a lot often. Like you mentioned, like you talk about the normal things and just like, thanks for my fight, blah, blah, blah. And here you just say what you want to say. You never know what's going to happen again.
Well, and here's the thing too, right? And Coach Dustin, he preaches this a lot. He's like, he talks about self-marketing, self-branding, things like that. And and unfortunately, back when Dustin was in the UFC, that wasn't necessarily a big thing. Yeah. But now it is, right? Like the UFC or, even any promotion, they want to see somebody they want somebody that's going to sell tickets. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense because they want to make money, right? And somebody that sells tickets puts money in their pockets. So, I try to be charismatic on the mic. I try to be a charismatic person in general. I try to be entertaining. But at the end of the day, make sure that I know hey, I'm here to take care of business. Yep. And all this fun shit is cool, but I have to perform. Absolutely. And performing is number one, and then everything else comes after that. But the thing is, in today's time, is everything after that is almost just as important, if not more important, than what you do in the cage, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So that's that's pretty much kind of why I do what I do, and also too, I'm just being myself, bro. You know what I mean? Like I'm just that's just me. You know what I mean? Like the way I talk on the mic or whatever. Like especially people that know me, they're gonna. I mean, dude, that's just who I am on an everyday basis. Man, I try to be authentic. I don't want to be fake. I want everybody to, if everybody's gonna be a fan of Rooster, like it's gonna be who he is. If they were to meet me on the street, it's gonna be the same person that they're gonna see in the cage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
It makes sense. So it's kind of like you mentioned before, like it's always in between before your fights. You gotta sell your fight first.
Yeah.
Like now the UFC games is coming about, you have to have like a certain thing now. You have to have so many followers or some weird stuff like that. I don't even know what it's doing with the social media.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's weird too, because like it's like especially with social media, and I've got some friends that are kind of big in the social media space, and you kind of when it comes to posting things like maybe even like cringy and things like that. One of the people's that I guess they're acquaintances, what I call them, but they're like, listen, you got to embrace the cringe, man. He said, listen, because at the end of the day, what are you worried about? You're worried about the people that you grew up with that like are gonna think you're gay, like, oh, that's gay, whatever, like they're gonna like, oh, that's what a weirdo, He's like, but the thing is, like, there's a billion people in the world, and you don't think that there's 100,000 people out there, even 200,000 people that are going to enjoy watching your content. So he's like, so the point he was making is once you get past that threshold of not giving a fuck of what really the people that know you think, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they think. What are they doing with their lives at the end of the day? Probably not much. And I'm not saying that to talk shit, but it's like, you're trying to do something great with your life and build a brand and build something. So who cares what they think? So yeah, man, it's crazy how social media has taken over and how big it's how big of an asset it is and how important it is to even the fight game.
Mm-hmm. That makes so. I obviously, when you mentioned before, you have like that stride. They mentioned about your nickname and stuff like that. When you walk into the cage, what is like your mindset going to obviously the cage? Like, how do you feel in that point?
Yeah, so on fight day, there's a lot of mixed emotions, right? So, some nervousness and some anxieties, and it comes in waves. So, I'll be maybe in the morning, I'm eating breakfast, whatever, I have a little bit, I'm kind of anxious a little bit, kind of going over like, how I think, just kind of visualizing how I think the fight's going to go, thinking over the things I've learned in camp, the things I've been doing in camp, that I've been practicing, thinking about what is he going to do? How am I going to handle what I think he's going to do, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, I'm not nervous anymore. I'm not anxious. Like I don't feel anything. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then, I do my shakeout, whatever, then it comes back, so it goes in waves. And then, I'd say right before the fight, I'm kind of amped up, adrenaline's starting to kind of go a little bit, like, hey, it's happening. But for me, what I've noticed, especially in the past two fights, as soon as I start to walk, like a switch flips, and I'm like, who does this motherfucker think he is, dude? The fact that he even signed that dotted line, that he could even compete with me, like, I started to get a little pissed off about it. And
Let's go.
And of course, that adrenaline's still going. But as soon as I get in that cage, dude, I'm ready to kill. And it's actually an interesting feeling. So, and I think a lot of people that make that walk, that make the walk to cage, can relate to that.
Let's go.
So yeah, as soon as I make that walk, bro, it's game time. I'm about to, the only thing that's keeping me from murdering this motherfucker is that ref, and that's the truth, So I mean, just like last time, I mean, let's think about the 5-second knockout, and we're gonna call a spade a spade. I grabbed the cage.
Yeah.
Technically that's illegal. Well, the ref didn't say anything. Of course the ref's not going to say anything because he's worried about this dude's life. Yeah. But it's just an instinctual thing to me that I'm like, I'm going to grab this cage because I can just get more into that, when I punch, So that's just kind of like a instinctual thing to me. And like just how I'm violent, bro. You know what I mean? So yeah. And I do a very good job at controlling that in my everyday life. But that's why I say, MMA has changed my life, man, and it's made me a lot calmer individual outside of the gym because, I address my demons in here and I address my demons in the cage, and I will forever be grateful for MMA.
So what kind of like you mentioned you changed your life, but what kind of before that, what kind of pushed you into the world of MMA, the space of it?
Yeah, man. So I'd say, I'm not trying to get too deep here.
Yeah,
Because I can't. I could get deep.
yeah.
Um,
It's up to you.
yeah, of course. Yeah, so I've loved MMA my whole life. I love fighting my whole life. I grew up doing sports and doing things like physical contact, and things like that. I tried to get into MMA when I was 18. I was out in a little town called Camden, Tennessee. It's a place where if you end up there, it's on accident. Like it's not like it's literally the smallest town in the world. It's crazy, but there's a little MMA gym out there that I started training at. The dude that was running it was a joke, so I quit. So then life happened and went off, did things, had a kid, whatever, everything, and so after my last breakup, that was I guess not my last breakup, but a recent breakup. I kind of do that. That breakup destroyed me, brother. So, but in a good way, I learned a lot and took a lot from that. So it was cool. But dealing with all the trauma so the point I'm getting at is pretty much building up trauma is kind of what led me to the gym, because I just had so much going on in my head. I'm like, man, I need an outlet. So being that I was a big fan of the sport, loved it. I walked in the gym. I talked to the manager. I said, "Hey, I'm 27 years old. Do I have time to if I sacrifice everything and I'm in here and I put the work in, and of course there's a lot of other factors that go into play. I'm like, all I need to know is there a chance?" And they said, "Yeah, you got time. There's a chance." I said, "Well, where do I sign?" And from there, man, like I said, dude, it's changed my life, man. Like the trauma of my life and needing an outlet. Like this is my therapy. Going to talk to somebody, and this is my opinion, different strokes for different folks. Going to talk to somebody don't do shit for me, man. I mean, because I already know the things that I'm very, very self-aware. I know my flaws. I know the things, my triggers. I know the things that I need to work on. I don't need somebody to tell me those things because I already know, So why would I want to pay somebody $150 for 30 minutes for him to tell me things that I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? So this is my therapy, man. This is my outlet. And dude, like I said, it's changed my life, man. It's just my demeanor, how I handle things, my outlook on life, my mindset, my attitude, just everything, man. So once again, like I said, it's just, I'll forever be grateful for MMA.
Absolutely. And obviously you're successful in your career so far. Definitely. You made it to, you're fighting in the LFA now. So how does that feel fighting for LFA?
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling, man. So it's just like, once again, it just goes back to, I'm not surprised. I put in the work, and to still be an amateur and to fight on this stage. I mean, what a freaking opportunity that is, right? I mean, God, it's crazy. But once again, man, I'm so confident in myself. Like I'm confident in myself to like it's a delusion, right? And you have to be that way to want to do great things and to succeed at a very, very high level in anything that you're doing. You got to believe in yourself at a delusional level where when you talk to people, they laugh because they're not on the same wavelength. They don't understand, right? So that's how I believe in myself to that point. And so yeah, man, I mean, what a great opportunity it is for me to be. I mean, here talking to you for LFA. We're I think 5 weeks out now. We're gonna be fighting, Friday on fight night, August 28th, and like it's a surreal feeling, but at the same time, not surprised. Everything that's happening right now is meant to be happening, and I 100% believe that, and it's part of my path, and it's what's needed to get to the UFC, and everything's going according to plan.
Well, I know a lot of your fights has been pretty quick. So do you feel like, obviously you're just gonna knock him out? You obviously that guy side down the line makes you angry, but do you feel like if it goes a little bit further, everybody get to see all of your basically your techniques and of course your arsenal a little bit more? Yeah.
So what's cool, it's like it's almost like maybe not a double-edged sword. Let me see if I can explain it, but almost. So what's cool about, so it is like a double-edged sword. So number one, it's like I'm knocking people out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And that's, from another fighter standpoint, maybe that could be scary. So like, oh man, this dude's knocking people out. But also, it's also like, if that was me on the other side seeing that, I'd be like, well, I mean, he's only hit people once. Like these dudes they probably suck. You know, he's probably not even that good. So I say it to say, no one knows just how good I really am.
Exactly.
And by the way, I could suck. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I will say this, because of how fast my fights are, and even in my first fight went to the second round, and the reason it went to the second round because he just ran from me the whole time, right? You know, but even if you watch the first fight, you're not going to see anything because I've evolved so much from that fight. Like you're not going to learn anything from that. So that being said, like it is a cool thing because no one really knows just how good I am or how bad I am. You know, So yeah, you know, I mean, I want to finish every fight quick. You know, I want to be like that Tom Aspinall where he's like, I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know this stat, but I think it's correct. I don't think he's before the UFC, or even in the UFC until like recently, like he never had a fight go out of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, and I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's somewhat relatively correct. I'd love for that to happen. You know, we take minimal damage and you know what I mean, and we get in there, we take care of business, but at the same time, I prepare for a war.
Yeah.
And when people ask me like, you know, are you ready for, you know, a 3-round fight, 5-round fight? And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to be in. I'm trying to knock this dude out. You know, I'm not trying to be in that long. At the end of the day, I am trained to be there, to be in there that long. You know, I train my cardio, I train everything to worst case scenario, it goes the distance, right? But yeah, that is a cool thing, man. No one really knows just how good I am yet. And I do like that. Because it could almost work in my favor.
Definitely big surprising, especially when you obviously just go undefeated again after this fight. So I'm not trying to project for your future, but what's kind of like, would you, obviously if you win this fight before 4-0, would you automatically just want to go pro and just try it? Maybe.
You know, I think definitely the heavyweight, because the heavyweight division is just not, it's not great. I think everybody knows that, right? The talent pool is very shallow, and the reason being, I think, and people probably know, is, you know, when you're big, you know, you're not fighting, you're playing football, you're doing other professional sports, so that's why that's probably like that. But, you know, I don't know. I'm going to say I'm not going to go pro yet after 4-0.
Okay.
It'll be a conversation I have with my coaches.
Absolutely.
For sure. You know, because at the end of the day, do we have time to make it to the UFC to get there? Yes, but at the same time, we're on a timeline here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like everything has to be done correctly. Everything has to be done like perfect for us to line up to get there. So, you know, if I don't go pro, I'll probably take 1 or 2 more fights.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, not saying I'm going to, maybe drop to light heavyweight, see how that does. May cut down, see how the weight cut goes, see how we look at light heavyweight, and maybe fight there. We'll see, you know, but we'll cross that bridge after we come to it. But I will tell you this: we will definitely be turning pro within the year from today's date, for sure. So that'll definitely be happening.
Absolutely, I'll definitely speak to you after your first pro fight. Yeah, because I know national MMA creates killers, so I say it every single time.
Yeah. We got some killers in here, man. Yeah, for sure. You know, Dustin is and Ronnie. I mean, both of them. They've turned this gym and this team around. You know, I mean, before the last LFA card, I'm pretty sure we were like 12-0 or something like that, and 13, maybe 11. I don't know, but we're undefeated in LFA until the last card.
Yeah, like,
you know. So yeah, man. I mean, that just speaks for what Dustin's doing. I think, you know, for itself.
Yeah, definitely. National is going to run it back now.
100%. Yeah, we didn't have. Yeah, that night was not a great night for us, of course. And yeah, we're looking to come back, and we're hungry, and we're going to come back and get our redemption and take care of business on August 28th.
I'm going to ask you a crazy question. So, all right, imagine we're standing here, obviously, like a post UFC like call out right here. What is one fighter you want to fight the most? Like, if it was like, let's swing it right now, who would you talk to?
Like in the UFC?
Or anyone.
Well, I mean, of course, it have to be the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely, UFC.
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody outside of that is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you know what I mean. Like, man, you know, it's very weird, and I mean, this is obviously a big jump, but some reason, man, I just picture myself fighting Josh Hokett. I don't know why that is, but like I've had this conversation with a few people, a few close friends. I'm like, for some reason, I could just picture myself fighting that dude. You know, we're similar in size, both 6'2", 230, 235 ish. We both can move. You know, striking wise, when I get there, I feel like striking, I can hang with him. Wrestling, obviously he's a collegiate wrestler,
Yeah.
so you know, I'm not going to say anything there, but man, I would, yeah, I just for some reason, dude, I feel like God willing, that fight is going to happen someday.
I definitely see it happen. It's going to be who's going to have the afterwards. Who's the best going to the best call out afterwards? Who the mic afterwards?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you know, he says some crazy. Even the things that he says on the mic, which I think is freaking hilarious. I love Josh. I mean, I'm actually a fan of him. But you know, he says some crazy stuff, which I'm like, yeah, heck yeah. I don't even know if I'd get that crazy on the mic. Yeah, yeah. But if I had to fight, man, if I had to call somebody up, man, I'd yeah, you know, or Gable Stevenson as well, man. Like, you know, he's making his run, he's doing his thing, and you know, I think the reason that I would like that because all the hype behind him, you know, being John Jones's boy, and I'm just curious, like how good, you know, how good are you? You know, I mean, obviously your wrestling is world class. He's an Olympic wrestler, crazy wrestler, freak athlete. You know, but like, you know, how good is your striking? You know, let's test that. And you know, the last guy tested him a little bit, I think, but you know, I want to see him. I'd like to see Gable against someone like a Josh, someone that, you know, that's kind of on his level with the wrestling and is just as fast, just as quick, and things like that. So
I definitely see it. But so anyone before we get, obviously we're out of time here, but before we log off here, what exactly you want to like give thanks to your coach and like that before you jump off here?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, dude, I have a huge support system, man, and I'm very grateful for that. My coaches, my team, you know, my family. So one thing I can always say, man, everything that I've ever done in my life, you know, I've had good support, which is a cool thing, right? So yeah, man, thank you to everybody, and you know, we're gonna continue to chase this dream, baby, and road to the UFC, man. So hopefully next time we speak, we're in another FA card, and we're just chopping away at that bit to get there.
Absolutely. Hey, we're gonna label this the road to UFC right here for definitely.
There you go, man.
I appreciate speaking to
you,
you,
man. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.